Take two. All right, there we go. Vinyl happy hour time. What's up? Got a little drink, got some great records, got a great video for you with a couple of indie store exclusives and music of all different types of genres tonight. So welcome and thank you so much for watching our Vinyl Happy Hour video here on YouTube. I am Skylar Davis, owner of Culture Shock Clothing and Records here in Rockford, Illinois, and of cultureshockshop.com, where you can find thousands of new releases and new records, plus the records we're discussing here tonight on our short video. Every Thursday we like to drop a new video and kind of highlight 5 of my picks for the new Friday releases that are coming out. Oftentimes they're reissues of older classic albums, and sometimes you get a brand new banger like the new John Moreland album. So we're going to talk just a little bit about this. John Moreland's new album, Birds in the Ceiling, indie store exclusive on opaque blue vinyl. If you don't know John Moreland yet, got a few albums out from Oklahoma. He's kind of more of a Texas kind of country indie artist. He's got a nice deep voice too, real solemn albums. He's got a few out. We've been waiting for a while though for a new one. It's been a little bit. And this album does not disappoint. Very interesting because, yeah, it's overall a country album, but he's definitely mixing in some more folk elements and some kind of indie and pop elements and some electronics and stuff like that too. So it's a very interesting mix of music from him, and I like it because I jokingly said it's like an ambient, sad country album. And usually 2 out of those 3 things I really like. Although I do like some country, he's really brought a new element. And I can say, honestly, I'm like a fan of like Jason Isbell to Elliott Smith and stuff like that. That's kind of a weird mixture of music there. But if you get what I'm saying, I think you could really dig this new album from John Moreland. So I really welcome you to give it a chance. Of course, if you want to buy a copy, get the indie store exclusive, this color vinyl version. From your indie record store, support your local record stores, please, or at cultureshockshop.com in the link below the video. To the staff picks, actually, we've got this one up there right now. Really nice sounding vinyl. I also like, it's funny now that with vinyl being the main format a lot of artists are promoting, they actually mention who mastered it. I don't know him or what other albums he's worked on, but it says it's mastered by Howie Weinberg. Must be some bigwig in the music and recording business because it is a great sounding album. Definitely got a little more. I think he's worked with some pop bands actually. I'll check into that, but I think I do know that name actually. So check that out. My next one, we're going to go all over the place because kind of got some country out of the way. We're going to talk about some hip hop. Got a rock album, got a jazz album, and then something I'd consider more like electronic, experimental, something like that. I'm a sucker for indie store exclusives. I'm a sucker for great hip hop artists, and I love when there's this little Obi strip, they call it. It's got this little strip attached to the side. There's multiple reasons why I like this. As a store owner, I like it because you can quickly see who it is and what's special about the album. But they're just a really cool little collector piece too that give more info on the album and talk a little bit more about it without disrupting the photograph or the artwork, because you can slip that off of there if you don't want that on there. But this is the new NAS album, Magic. It actually did come out or start streaming a while ago. With all the vinyl delays going on in the world, it's finally getting a proper vinyl release, and he did an indie store exclusive. So this kind of gray marble splatter vinyl is an indie store exclusive. Also comes with a nice thick inner sleeve, of course, too. Cool picture of Nas in the recording studio, laying down some tracks. And then we've got the nice folded insert as well with the lyrics and some more photos on it. I like the classic Shaquille O'Neal, Anthony Hardaway jerseys they're sporting on the inside of that. Just some really bringing me back to the old school 90s NBA days and 2000s stuff when I was a little more into basketball. But anyway, Nas is been doing his thing for over 30 years now, I believe. So he's been in the hip-hop game a long time. We're almost coming up on 30 years of Illmatic. I think that came out in like 92, 94 or so. So that's almost 30 years old. So there's not a lot of MCs and the hip-hop artists and rappers that have been making good music for almost 30 years. So it's really cool to see that Nas is still doing it, still in the game. I think this is his 15th album. So he's dropped a lot of albums, and this one, nice single LP, right to the point, right to the beats. A lot of good tracks on here. I've been able to listen to it several times already. I really enjoy the flow. He's a really good lyrical flow, really good lyrical master. He's got a very New York sound, being a New York guy. And it really fits with a lot of the stuff I listen to. I mean, honestly, he even drops, mentions like ODB and Wu-Tang and Jay-Z and Biggie. So yeah, those are a lot of the people that he grew up with and grew up, you know, doing music with. And I've been listening to a lot of MF Doom and Wu-Tang myself lately, so this kind of falls into line with that kind of music. And I also like I said, it's a single LP, keeps it right to the rhythm. It's got a good solid rhythm throughout. Nothing too fast, nothing too slow, not like some of the southern rap. I like this album because it doesn't drift away too much. Even though, you know, there's a couple guest spots, you know, when you're listening to a rap album, and there's all these artists or these guests who just really step out and take you away from the experience. Or if there's some skits and stuff, you know, I'm not saying that's bad, but there are some albums where there's just a lot of filler or a lot of skits and things that take me out of it. Did not happen with this NAS album, so it's a good, solid listen. Definitely good to see him still in the game, still making music and dropping it. So we do have the Hit Boy song, or a production from Hit Boy with A$AP Rocky and DJ Premier, which DJ Premier is also taking it way back to the old school hip hop. So it's cool to see these guys still putting out some good tunes and stuff like that. We've got another oldie putting out some new music too. So that's the NAS Magic Indie Store exclusive. If that sells out, you can find the link too to find it on Black Vinyl too. But hit up that Indie Store exclusive if you can. So we've got a new release from Eddie Vedder, and this actually did come out a little bit ago, at least streaming or whatever. I think it actually got a false release on vinyl because there was a misprint or a typo or something. So we actually did, or almost had, a few copies come in months ago, but they had to repress them or repackage them because of some problem. I don't know what it was, but a really nice gatefold on the Eddie Vedder Earthling album, and then a really cool photo of him on the inside too. There's gonna be a lot of Pearl Jam elements on this album, although Eddie Vedder is writing pretty much all the music and even playing a lot of the instruments. It comes with a really nice thick booklet with way more photos. Actually, I love this photo too. On the Rosa Jericho side, there's blood on the Strat guitar, so kind of giving an opinion on like the guitar being a weapon or a way to help relay your message, your words, your songs. And the guitar work on this album, I can't pick out yet if Eddie's on all of some of the guitar solos that I love on this album. He's working with several other people who are doing, you know, drums and guitars and production on some of it, but it's all written by Eddie Vedder, and he plays guitar and piano on a lot of the albums, so you will hear a lot of that. He does bust out the ukulele, I think, just a couple of times, but this is nothing like his ukulele album. This is a rock album. There is definitely some parts of, you know, I could even say, you know, some of the Counting Crows or something like that with some of the piano in it, and more of a Pearl Jam sound with some of the rock and stuff like that. And I'm a fan of all those bands, and I'm a fan of Wilco, and I'm a fan of Pearl Jam. And this is a really good album. It's funny now hearing Eddie Vedder being, you know, older. I think he's probably almost 60 or late 50s at least, probably. And I can hear some of the older music that he was inspired by probably, or that has naturally come around, including, I mean, I feel like I hear some Neil Young, of course, Bruce Springsteen even, and Tom Petty. Some of those classic rock artists, if you link them up and mix that sound with some of the Pearl Jam, I definitely hear that on this Earthling album. And it's a good album, comes with a really nice booklet, great production, great instrumentation. Like the parts with the guitar and stuff like that, just, it's really nice to hear a well-tuned guitar with a cool effect on it, giving some solos too. A good album. It's got its punky and grunge edges to it as well, but it's hard to see on camera. Obviously, this is a really nice packaging, a really nice thick gatefold, really nice thick piece of probably 180 gram vinyl, really nice booklet with photos and stuff like that too. So definitely check out that. We will have the link to that one as well. We got quite a few copies of that. Now we're gonna go kind of down. It's funny we're talking about piano. There's a lot of stuff with piano this week too. This is a totally other element of music now too. This is Greg Foat's latest album, Greg Foat, F-O-A-T, Psychosynthesis. Really cool artwork, very minimal, kind of artsy, geometric, some photos of the sessions inside. He is from London, or at least from England. I think he's a London producer, band leader, a jazz artist, keyboardist, kind of a multi-musician, multi-instrumental musician, I guess. But he does a lot. And a lot of his albums I would usually put into a realm of more like ambient jazz, even some darker jazz. On this Psychosynthesis, it's very interesting that he's actually using the drummer from another band I've recently been really liking a lot, Black Midi. Is used on drums on many of the tracks. This is a double LP. It's a very long experimental album. A lot of electronics. I do like that they give you a little hype sticker to kind of give you a little heads up that this is the solo lockdown analog synthesizer explorations of Greg Foat, featuring Black Midi drummer Morgan Simpson. So this is a solo lockdown. What did they talk about? Lockdown? Was he locked down in pandemic in his studio making some music? I don't know. Maybe that's what they're talking about. So, but it's a nice little description to kind of let you know a little more about the album. So I love when albums do that or record labels do that. And that's true. This is definitely a very exploratory synthesizer album, very ambient, electronic, all instrumental, double LP. So it's a really cool album to really dive into, and you can tell that he put a lot of detail and work into all of the instruments and all the recording. It's a very nice mellow piece. It's very laid back. He's also, you know, a fan of like 60s and 70s pop and psychedelia and stuff like that too. And that gets mixed in. You know, this does fall under a soul jazz kind of electronic section, but there's a lot of psychedelic and ambient stuff going on. And you can kind of tell with even the artwork that kind of weird geometric stuff, something you might see more with Brian Eno or Tangerine Dream even, something like that. But yeah, I dig it. It's definitely a trip. Very cool album, really cool artwork, nice gatefold. So this is, you know, this has all been brand new releases, I guess, from brand new artists. There's other new releases out, you know, Maggie Rogers there's a bunch of stuff, and there's some Mother reissues. It's just so hard for me to pick just 5 to talk about because there's so many great releases. We're going to go back to some old school, though. Some of these Blue Note releases finally coming out. This is a very rare jazz piece. Might be early 50s or mid 50s. I don't know the year, but I think 54 or so. This is an early jazz piece on the Blue Note one from Sonny Clark, Dial S for Sonny. And you're seeing some Blue Note artists and people who weren't on some of the later kind of funkier Blue Note. This is their still really early hard bop era. Sonny Clark's doing all the piano on here. Art Farmer on trumpet. Curtis Fuller, we got him doing trombone. Hank Mobley, another great artist in his own respect, on tenor sax. Of course, Wilbur Ware on bass, Louis Hayes on drums. Those are some artists I'm not as familiar with. They didn't do as much in the post, you know, John Coltrane, Miles Davis era. Art Farmer's a really great trumpet player though too. So this is just a really cool collection of older jazz artists in the 50s. I was kind of just checking some stuff out about Sonny Clark because I don't have a lot of albums from him, and he did cool strutting too. He had this really cool kind of New York kind of old school swing to his hard bop. He died in 63 though. He was only like 31 years old, probably of a heroin overdose, heart problems and things like that. So he died at a very young age, sadly, and there aren't a lot of albums from Sonny Clark. But if you like the early jazz, the early hard bop, this is definitely a good one. It's just a great album. Of course, like I said, the originals are so hard and expensive to find, but luckily we get these really nice, these are fully analog. All these ones that say whatever, the Classic series or the Tone Poet series from Blue Note, meaning they actually use the original master reel tapes that were recorded in the studio, made for this original album, and they've actually gone back and reused those and used everything analog equipment to manufacture new pressings and remakes of these. So this is fully analog, nothing's been digitized. It's quite the week to be talking about digital and analog music. I don't want to get into it, but if anybody keeps up with jazz and records and Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab, I'm not going to get into that. A lot of people are talking about record labels and stuff being misrepresented, so it's very nice to see something that is fully transparent, represented, that Blue Note and Kevin Gray and everyone worked together to master these from complete analog tapes and mastered it in an analog way. It's a full analog experience, how this original jazz was recorded. I personally don't care about especially stuff from the 70s, 80s, and modern if it was recorded analog or digital, if it's got a great sound and it's a good pressing. But I particularly love these 50s and 60s jazz pieces to be properly done in analog, how they said. So you can't go wrong with these Blue Note series. especially with originals being so expensive or hard to find in good shape. So another great week, like every week, doesn't let me down with all the releases coming out. So I hope you're following our social media too. Culture Shock Clothing and Records on Facebook, or Culture Shock _ on Instagram. We do post usually a little more about some of the other releases we get. And please like and subscribe. If you're hanging in with me now to the end of this video, you must like me for some reason. So please subscribe to the Culture Shock channel here on YouTube if you aren't. And check out some of our other videos too. And I forgot to mention, I'm drinking some local stuff, kind of Whiskey Acres, the Artisan series. Eddie Vedder, he was born in Illinois, actually. I know we all associate Seattle with him, but so I had to drink some Illinois whiskey here. This is the bourbon whiskey from Whiskey Acres down in DeKalb. They segmented a certain kind of type of corn, a certain color corn, and made a special blend. It's a great whiskey, a great distillery to visit also. So go check them out if you're visiting Illinois or visiting Culture Shock. Go see Whiskey Acres as well. So we will see you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.